there's definitely a lot to talk about and try to explain. And again, none of my stuff is scripted, so I don't even have notes or anything like that. I just try to be as helpful as I can with what I'm learning, with what I'm doing. So keep that in mind. But like I said, so I'll just do it right now. I'll give the updated guide. Like I said, so real quick, our spark is now over 100k. This is still without Ingenuity belt. This is still without Dream Fragment, right? A lot of my gear, some of them are the same, some of them are just a little bit better fine-tuned than the last guide, because the last guide, obviously we broke the 50k dream at the time. Now we broke the 100k dream, but we have so much more going on than just the 100k, right? The thing is, I could push this beyond this quite a lot, actually, if I wanted to full-blown only worry about DPS. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to make the best build overall. Yes, I'm trying to reach breakpoints like this. Going to the 50k was awesome. Reaching the 100k finally is awesome. Like I said, all without Ingenuity belt yet. When I get that, it's going to be even just way more insane, right? So the foundation, though, of the build, the core of it, overall, I want it to be strong as I can make it, but also as comfy as possible with anything I'm trying to do in the game, right? And that's whether that's mapping. I want to be comfortable. I don't want to be feeling, granted, some maps are still going to be rippy, or, you know, like crit maps and stuff like that. But overall, you know, with a good overall build and smart decision making, like tier 16 corrupted maps with the +2s, right? Like level 82 zones are just as easy as like a tier 15 map, really. At least for me at this point, like I can't really feel much of the difference. Even the bosses and stuff, like I don't know, I just am in a really good spot overall, especially now with, like I said, I'll wait till you guys see the changes I made, not only to get the DPS to the 100k plus, but I was able to keep, if you look at my sheet real quick, I still have my 100% Pierce. In my opinion, Pierce is the best of all. Like, you have Pierce, you have Chain, you have Fork. I think Pierce, again, overall, especially if you put in extra projectile speed, you can see I'm at 134. And if I could get that higher, you know, that the higher that is, the better. You know, duration, all that stuff. Those things, these three things right here: duration, speed modifier, which is how fast the stuff moves, right? And it's all bouncing back and forth. Hence why Pierce, in my opinion, you know, you put these three together and it synergizes super well. Granted, this does not directly correlate to the DPS sheet, but best believe it makes things feel way better, especially with bosses, right? In my opinion, like I said, when I'm mapping, everything dies immediately at this point for the most part. Whether it's rare or, you know, yellow mob, blue mob, doesn't matter. Even bosses now, like I said, they die super fast, but that's because, again, trying to get the Pierce with the speed and all that. You know, a lot of people are talking about branch of bolts, coming into the chat talking about that, and I looked at it and it looks juicy. It definitely looks like, you know, it's definitely strong. But in my opinion, again, if I can have the Pierce, I'm gonna choose the Pierce over it, just personally. I remember in the campaign, I took off, you know, I was running the Pierce support gem, and that you actually lose damage by using it. But when I took it off, I tried taking it off and putting in like an extra like 30 damage or whatever. Like, I can't remember what I changed with, but I changed it with something that was just more damage. I was like, let's see if Pierce is actually good. And it felt terrible. It felt so bad. So yeah, again, I might be biased in that opinion, but just through my own experiences and stuff, Pierce feels super good to me, especially the way, like I said, what my focuses are, what I'm trying to do with the build. But anyways, so that being said, again, you can see not only are we the 100k, like I said, flat DPS, we have the 100% Pierce still, we have a little bit of speed, we have, you know, this, my cast speed is back to over 4.5, which is what I want. Anywhere between 4 and 5 is where you want to be. And that being said, a lot of you guys, I'm getting a lot of people coming to me saying, hey, how are you scaling your damage? I have the same gear as you. You definitely don't, because again, I would say 95% of the people that have come to me personally and asked me like, hey, look at my stuff, what's wrong? Most of the time it's the cast speed. I literally had one person with like 1.8 cast speed, and the difference between 1.8 and 4.6, even 4, like, it's huge. The build scales very, very well overall, whether it's running and gunning. Like the more cast speed you have, right, the faster you can run through maps without stopping, you know, with tapping, you know, like I've told you guys before, you run and you just tap your thing and you keep running, don't hold it down. The more cast speed you have, the faster you can do that as well. But so just overall, it adds to, it just feels better, smoother, whatever. But again, from a pure scaling perspective, cast speed, for whatever reason, people are overlooking the importance of it. So yeah, cast speed, don't overlook that. That is a very important part of it. Mana is important, obviously. And when we get to the gear, I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth on like what to focus on to really scale it, you know, that much more. But yes, I just want to point that out. Cast speed. A lot of people seem to be overlooking that. Do not overlook the fact that you want that ideally to be 4 minimum. Anywhere between 4 and 5 is what to shoot for. For me, 4.5 ish. I'm a little over that. Great. That's where I want to be. So, and then on top of that, if you look down here, I also have 129 rarity, right? So again, my build overall is not only strong, like I'm missing out on quite a bit of DPS, but I'm doing that in just my rings. My rings, I could get a lot, probably close to 20k DPS more just in the rings, 15-20k roughly, if I really wanted to, just in my rings. But I got double slams on both my rings. One of my rings has 60 rarity, the other one has like 40, right? So a majority of my rarity stuff, and I do believe in this game it's worth having at least 100, I'd say. Honestly, I want to get it to 200 personally, but I'm trying. It's just really hard to get gear. I've been trying to craft. The economy is so inflated right now. It's so hard to trade for stuff. You know, I've been lucky with crafting some gear, slamming some gear, things like that. But in terms of the rarity side of things, this is all I got for now. But again, so my point is, not only are we the 100k DPS flat, we have a lot of rarity. We have our 100% pierce still, and again, we have very high cast speed. But on top of that, the kicker is not only do we have all this going on, but we also were able to pick up Icebreaker. We have Icebreaker, and we still kept our pierce, and the pierce, obviously it's the same as how I was doing it before. You get 50% from anointing it through your amulet, and then you get the other 50% through the jewels. But yeah, that being said, in terms of, since we have the skills open, I'll go over quick what the links are. Tempo still, of course. Inspiration, of course. Acceleration, persistence, and considered casting. Nothing real different there. Those are just kind of the bread and butter of Spark at the moment, at least in my opinion. Elemental Storm, Controlled Destruction, Elemental Focus, Rising Tempest. Honestly, I just haven't had really no need to really change it yet. I do kind of want to switch that one out probably with something else, but for now that's what I'm using. Magnified Effect. The reason for that is it makes a bigger storm, and Ingenuity just so it casts a little bit more. That being said, another thing that brings me to another point on the topic of Elemental Storm. A lot of people are asking me, how do you get 6 link? How do you get 5 link? I believe it's through just certain levels. Once you reach a certain level on your character, it'll unlock another slot. I have not used any jeweler orbs. I haven't done anything. They just, the higher level I got, they would progressively unlock. So yeah, hopefully that, I don't know for sure if that's it, but that's my assumption because I didn't do anything different. It's just, and if you look at it, it says requires level 90 where it's currently at. So that's my assumption on that. You could, if you really wanted to, take the magnified effect, put it on sigil of power to make the circle bigger. I don't really need it. I just kind of work around with the circle that I got. That being said, I do have quality plus 20% on my staff, and if you look at what quality does, it increases the radius. So that's a little tidbit too. You should be upgrading. Quality is super important. If you guys didn't hear that in my last video, obviously you have all your gear, you know everything you can make quality, but also your gems. I'm not sure actually if anybody is watching this on YouTube. If you guys know how to make Elemental Storm 20% quality, I haven't been able to figure that out yet. That's like the only thing I haven't been able to figure out with Elemental Storm. Maybe it's not possible yet, I don't know, but you should be able to make Elemental Storm quality too, because if you hover over it, look, it gives you another 10% cooldown recovery rate. Trying to figure that one out, still haven't been able to figure that one out. But again, so quality, again, if you look at my gems, Spark is 20. You know, you really, there's no point. Once you get higher up, it's just a no-brainer to get everything quality, really. But Spark, for sure, mandatory. I would say Spark and Archmage are for sure your mandatory. Get those quality first. And you'll see my Archmage is actually corrupted. It's a level 22 gem at the moment. 20 level max. 1 from corruption, 1 from support, 20%. That being said, I did have a level 20 without corruption, and it was quality 20, and it did not. So the difference between corrupted must not be working. Unless maybe actually, I guess the only difference I saw was if the bottom part of it says non-channeling spells cost an additional % of your mana, that did go down, but only like 0.05. So is it worth corrupting or going through the trouble of it? I don't know. It was pretty easy for me. Like I got it like right off the rip. I corrupted, I think it was a level 18 gem. I corrupted it, got the +1, made it, or I got a level 18 gem, made it 20% quality, corrupted it, got the +1, and then I just upgraded it from there. So that is a pro tip for anybody that doesn't know with like corrupted gear. When it comes to your gems, you have to make the quality 20%. You would have to add any jeweler orbs you want to do before corrupting it. You know, basically prep it, then corrupt it, and hope for the +1. But after it's corrupted, you can upgrade from there. So do it on a lower tier gem, like I said, the 18 gem. Try to, I guess, gamble the corruption there. Once you get it, then you just upgrade it to 20. And that's how you do that. Spark, obviously, I haven't done it on Spark. Spark would actually, I guess, that would really tell us if it's working or not. But it's just way too costly to try to gamble that right now. Because, again, you'd have to get it not only 20% quality before corrupting it, you'd have to get it 6-link, then corrupt it, hope for the +1. And if that happened, then, like I said, from there it would be easy because then you just upgrade it. But anyways, hopefully that helps in terms of, like, gems, corruptions, whatever. Because that's something that I learned the other day and was unaware of. But yeah, so in terms of damage, the level 20 gem straight up versus the corrupted, it did not increase my damage at all. It actually bugged out. I want to say, like, I believe I corrupted an 18. When I upgraded to 19, like, my stat sheet did nothing. And then, but then when I upgraded it to 20, then it worked normal or the way it was supposed to, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah, so back to the other one. So Orb of Storms, what I'm running on that right now is Exposure still, Strip Away still, Coursing Current. I think, I don't know if I had that the last time or not, but just for now, again, I'm just so strong. I haven't even really got too crazy with perfecting all of that. Like again, Rising Tempest in my Elemental Storm might not be the best option. Coursing Current might not be the best, but the other ones I would highly recommend. Quantum Mana, again, for more mana regen. And another little tidbit, if you didn't see in my other videos, with Orb of Storms, it's a buff for you with Font of Mana, but it's a debuff for enemies, right? So you want to place it in between. You know, you're on one side to get your Font of Mana buff. The enemies or the boss is on the other side, so they get the Strip Away Lightning Exposure debuff, right? And then Conductivity, Heightened Curse, Focus Curse, Hex Bloom, same as it was. I like Hex Bloom just because, well, I guess at the state I'm at, honestly, I don't even cast Conductivity in maps. It doesn't matter what kind of map it is. Like, things just die way too fast. It just slows me down. I do use it on bosses though. That's about the only time I'm using it at the moment. But when before I got this strong, Hex Bloom was awesome because you could cast it on any mob, and then when that mob died, it would just like a domino effect and just automatically curse everything else around it. So it was pretty sweet. Mana Tempest, Premeditation, and I'm still running Energy Barrier in case you get stunned. This gives you a little bit more sustain. And you'll see in my passive, I'm not really running the stun threshold stuff. I don't really get stunned that often. I don't really notice getting stunned, so I just ain't doing that. But I did pick up Icebreaker. And like I said, when we get to passive, the passives are juicy, man. Those are some of the biggest changes for sure. I mean, I did upgrade some of the gear, but the passives are, wait till you see. It's very, very juicy. Blink, I got on Clarity, probably doesn't even honestly help. I don't know. It's a free gem. Why not put it in there? And then on Archmage, I got the Lightning Mastery to give it another +1. So yeah, in terms of skills, a lot of that is very similar. I will say though, again, the upgrades, I got going from level 19 spark, I upgraded my spark. I got really lucky. When I hit level 93, like the actual map I was in, and I leveled up to 93, I got a level 20 spark and a level 20, level 20 skill gem and a level 20 spirit gem. So I was able to upgrade my spark and my archmage at the same time. And my dude, it gave me like 20k more DPS. It went from like 65k to 85k, just that in itself. So don't overlook the importance of just your skill gem level in general. You know, especially again, Spark and Archmage especially, they scale. Well, I think Archmage might have like breakpoints in the damage part of it. And I'm not sure what they are, but getting that maxed and getting, again, Spark maxed, big part of the damage increases. Huge scalers. But yeah, so skills, those are the skills, and then we'll go over I know a lot of you guys want to see the gear, the gear upgrades. Again, honestly, a lot of my gear is going to be the same. A couple upgrades for sure, but wand, the same one I've been using. This is one of the first things I trade. This is actually like the first. Dang, I might have to do that real quick. I'm gonna wait. 35x, man. Oh, dude, I hope I don't miss out on that. But yeah, the wand, I found a perfect jeweler orb early into the game. I traded that perfect jeweler orb for like 80 something X at the time, which I know it's worth way more now, but so is this wand. But I got this helmet and this wand from doing that, right? Like I was early into mapping and before the super inflation of divine orbs, like I was able to get this helmet and get this wand. And I'm still using it. That being said, if I could get the +4, oh my gosh, if I can get basically a mirror of this wand with +4 lightning skills, oh my, dude, it'd be a big increase. Because like I said, just going that +1 from the gem level, what I saw, definitely missing out on a lot of damage there. But yeah, it's just they're so hard to upgrade a wand, especially one like that. Maybe at some point though, right? I'm trying to craft them right now. Like I've been able to craft some decent wands, but nothing that beats this one yet. And then for the helmet, again, kind of the same as last time, I believe. I've had it for a while now. High energy shield, max mana, int, crit chance, and rarity, right? Rarity is kind of hard to add into the mix, especially with all the other important factors in the gear. And that being said, when it comes to the gear, this is a good time to mention. When I was starting out, I was shooting for 150 mana minimum, right? You'll see a lot of my gear now is 200 plus, but when I started, I was shooting for 150 plus minimum, and that includes int, right? So int is basically int double dips. So int not only is a main stat which boosts your pure power node in your passive, right? Every 10 int is 2% lightning damage. So, you know, if you get I got over 350, 60 int. So that's a lot of extra, just, you know, again, a double dip type damage source. But it also, every point of int is 2 mana, right? So this piece technically has 129 max mana, which again, the more the merrier. But the int is also worth 20 mana in itself, right? So that puts this piece at 149 max mana essentially. So it's, you know, I mean, I guess it's one under 150, but at the time, again, I was shooting for 150, you know, combined mana on every single piece of gear. So you'll see all of my gear moving forward. This is honestly, I think this is my lowest piece now in terms of mana value. But again, it not only is a mana value, but it also it scales your pure power node as well. So keep that in mind. So again, so yeah, those two, Azure or Everlasting Gaze, that is kind of the bread and butter of Eldritch to get the shield. A lot of people that are newer to the game don't understand how are you playing Eldritch and still having shield. Well, it comes through this. This shoots back a percent of your max mana back to your energy shield. The way it calculates, you know, the passive's going first, then the amulet shoots it back, and then obviously any bonuses you have globally will boost it from there, because it gives you a base, you know, energy shield to work with again, and that's how you get shield back. So it's an important piece of the build overall, for sure. One of the most important pieces. This is like aside from the wand and the helmet, this was the next piece I traded for early on, and I think it's gotten a lot more expensive since then. But that being said, I've heard a lot of people chance orbing this. So in order to do that, you would have to get like an Azure amulet, right? And then you use a chance orb on it and hope for the best. I have heard a lot of people, at least in my chat and stuff, saying they were able to do that and get their Azure amulet. Obviously, it's a gamble, right? But it's just another, you know, if it's too expensive for you, you end up coming across a chance orb. Maybe you want to take your chances and maybe it'll work. Because again, I've heard multiple people in my chat alone say that's how they did it. So just a little tidbit there, maybe can help some of y'all out. My focus, this is definitely an upgrade from the last time. You see the energy shield is a little low, unfortunately, but everything else is insane. I actually slammed this. You know, I ended up trading for like the base of it because it had the cast speed, skills, and mana, and the plus energy shield. And then I slammed and ended up. I mean, I think it's insanely good because not only does it have the cast speed, which is something I value, especially in my wand, because the biggest sources of cast speed, which again, like I talked about earlier, don't overlook the fact of the importance of it. You can get a lot of it through, you know, you can add some through jewels, which I do. You can add some through passive, which I do, but your wand and your focus are big sources of it. You can get really big rolls, and your rings, right? So in my rings, that's why I went with pearl rings, at least for now, because that guaranteed me some cast speed. And then, you know, if I didn't get the hit when I was crafting it, because like I said, I essentially crafted / slammed. I crafted this one from scratch, slammed this one from, I think, a blue, maybe. So essentially crafted it, I guess, right? But yeah, so focus, slam, craft, traded this early on, and then the other stuff, again, just over time trying to upgrade. There's just a lot of ways to do it. I just think the trading side of things is getting a little bit harder, unfortunately. But back to the rings. So again, cast speed, like I said, those 4 pieces are very important for cast speed. If these rings had cast speed on them, I'd get a big increase in my damage scaling just from that alone, especially on the stat sheet. But for me, like I said, I wanted some rarity in the mix, and after adding in the rarity from just these 2 alone, I did feel like I noticed an increase in like more exalts dropping and stuff like that. I don't know. It feels like it's worth it to me. I'm honestly a little lower than I even want to be. I'd like to be 200 plus, but that'll naturally happen once I get Ingenuity belt, if I get it. You know, because it'll scale both these rings pretty well. That being said, if I could, in a perfect scenario, honestly, this ring is like ideal, minus the dead stat of fire damage, because I'm not, you know, obviously not doing any fire damage. If that fire damage was mana regen, I think this would be a perfect ring. I don't know how I'd ever replace it because it's over 200 mana, right? 60 rarity, which is insane. That's a double slam, essentially. It's 2 sources of rarity, high rolls into 1. All res, high lightning res. Again, in my opinion, if it had mana regen or cast speed, right? Like I said, cast speed scales high. But at the end of the day, I do think, you know, that's why I say between 4 and 5. I'm already over 4.5. 4.5 is like my sweet spot right now. And even that is a little hard to sustain just because my mana regen's a little bit low. That's what I'm saying. So you can kind of, you know, based on your gear, if you're like way over 5% cast speed or something, you might want to tame that down at that point, because again, you gotta consider when you're making the build, how much mana can you sustain where you're at with it, right? For me, 4.5 is about my limit. Anything beyond that, it starts to get, I have to be careful, because you don't want to just use all your mana, be low mana all the time, and then you get hit by some big mechanic, and you know, then you're susceptible to die, right? So you know, try to find that sweet spot of cast speed, because again, it's super important, but within reason of your mana regen, where that's at. Me, for right now, my mana regen is definitely one of my weakest sources, but I'm just managing that myself the best I can, right? Because I could sit there and pump crazy damage real fast, but then you see my mana is going down, right? And it's not terrible, right? It's pretty easy to manage, but for some people it's out of control. And so that's why, like I said, I just want to point that out. But yeah, rings, like I said, they're pretty similar to each other. You'll see both of them have over 200 max mana. Both of them have very high rarity. And then the res that I need to reach my cap, because res cap is super important. And then on this one, I have 30 int, which is a big bonus to me, because again, not only is that, you know, essentially 6% lightning damage, which isn't crazy. It's just, again, it all adds up at the end of the day. But that is another 60 mana, which is really strong, right? So that piece essentially has 260 mana. This piece over 200. And that's where, again, I was talking about a lot of my pieces are over 200 mana value. If you look at my focus, again, I got 30 int on there. That's 60 mana. And then 158 mana, right? So add that together, that over 200 mana, over 200 mana, over 200 mana. If you look at my gloves, 150 mana, 25 int converted, that's 50 mana. That's a 200 mana piece. Same thing with my boots, 150 mana, 25 int converted, another 50 mana, that's a 200 mana piece. And then for the belt, until I get Ingenuity belt, this is just to help hit my res caps, plus the strength because of your support gems. This might say 11 strength, but in reality, I'm able to, instead of having to get 2 passive nodes for strength, I can just get 2 int nodes for strength. You know what I mean? So it does actually offset and actually helps me get a little bit more int at the end of the day. So if you look, I got int on here, int on here, int on here. I even have int on my body armor. I have int on one of my rings, my focus, my helmet. Like I said, I'm getting, it just helps when you get that many sources of more int, it overall, like I said, it adds to double dipping, and not insanely, but again, it all adds up, right? I guess that's my point. And that it's an easier way or a better way to get higher max mana per piece of gear, right? So hopefully that makes sense, because I'm trying to give you guys the information on like how to scale your and get, you know, over 5k mana, right? For me, I could have way more energy shield than this, right? But for me, I'm trying to keep that 1-to-1, at least for now. Eventually, like, I feel like energy shield, I want to be, I mean, this is about my sweet spot. I feel really comfortable here. And if I start getting more mana, which hopefully, you know, I will, I probably am not going to keep the 1-to-1 ratio. I would favor mana over energy shield, you know, but for now where I'm at, this 1-to-1 ratio, right? I'm at 5,200. It feels really good for me for now. And that being said, like I said, I could sacrifice some passives in favor of more energy shield, and if I needed to, or if you needed to, right, depending on where you're at with the build or your playstyle, whatever, you can do that. Don't be afraid to take away some of the damage nodes, like crit nodes or whatever, in favor of more energy shield if you need it. For me, this is where I like to be. And from here though, like I said, the more mana I get, naturally the more shield I'll get as well. But so yeah, for me that's it feels real good where I'm at the moment. But that being said, like I said, if you look at, again, my gear, the rest of it, you can see I have over 800 energy shield on the chest piece. I got a little bit of res to finish off capping it, and a little bit of int, because this is just the best I could do with what I had, you know, or what I could afford. And it works. It's strong, and it's got the important stuff that I'm looking for. Which again, for me, I was trying to shoot for at least 800 energy shield, and then again, res cap, whatever I needed to do. You know, for me, I needed lightning on here, and then again, that little bit of int is just that little bit of added, you know, mana, a little bit of added lightning damage. The gloves, I think, are the same as last time. Unfortunately, accuracy rating is a dead stat. If I had rarity, honestly, if I had rarity instead of accuracy rating on these gloves, I wouldn't even want to change them. And then the boots, I mean, obviously the higher stats I can get, the better, but they're pretty good. They're pretty solid. I have no immediate means to replace them. They're not the best, but they do what I need, and they got all the important stats I need, right? But yeah, so hopefully gear wise, hopefully that makes sense. My point of that is, again, try to max mana is very important, but you can try to add int if possible to help get that max mana a little bit higher than what it otherwise would be. And then on top of it, like I said, you get a little bit more damage through pure power if you're running pure power in your passive. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, gear, I think that's everything, right? We looked at all of that. The staff, the important things there, I do have max mana, again, just for the sustain side of things, if I'm getting hit, whatever. Plus skills, because conductivity is a lightning skill. And then cast speed, so it happens faster. And again, I got int there just because that's, again, my theme. When I'm searching items, I try to get int on every piece I can, even though a staff is more secondary. Again, it just adds more to that mana pool. And even though it's not necessarily about damage, it's also about survivability too, right? When you're running Eldritch plus MOM. So yeah, gear, skills, and now to the good stuff. A lot of changes here, a lot of changes in the passive. And I haven't seen anybody else with something like this. This is something I'm excited. I'm proud of it. I'm excited to share it. But I do have to give a shout out to my buddy Jokey. My buddy Jokey actually mentioned a node that I did that kind of put me on the path to try to get this the way I did. But in doing so, I was able to add in, like I said, Icebreaker into the mix. So it's a huge W. So again, shout out to Jokey for that. My boy Jokey with the I can't remember the name of the node, but it's over here to the right. No, that's Icebreaker. This Wildstorm. He's like, hey, check out Wildstorm. If you can reach it or make it work, like it's a pretty good node for damage, and it is. So that being said, we'll go into the passives. So for now, I'm actually, again, so I clear so fast through maps. I wanted to have a little bit more of that boss damage, because again, I do want to delete bosses as fast as possible as well, which I am. And it just overall, again, my main points are I could even change this around even more to get even more damage and get even crazier damage. But at the end of the day, I want as much damage as I could possibly get, but with also being as comfy as I could possibly get. And that's whether it's clearing maps, just the mobs themselves, whether that's doing bosses, whatever. Like as a whole, I want to be as strong as possible for whatever the game has to throw at me, right? So that being said, I still got my Tempest Collar because I like it. I prefer it for clearing. But then I added in the Strike Twice. That's more for the bosses, right? So I kind of split the two between the two. And that's what I like at the moment. And I'm not even scaling the Strike Twice. Honestly, I could get more magnitude, and I might do that with jewels at some point. But in terms of passives, I just, again, even my boss killing right now is so fast, but a lot of that's because of Pierce. But it's just that extra little bit, and it seems to have a little bit more value than running Rain Dancer at the moment, because again, the maps themselves, I kill stuff so fast already that I do like my Tempest Collar. It does still make a difference, but I don't need, more than what it's already doing, if that makes sense. Or at least that's the way it feels for me at the current time of where I'm at with the build. That being said, still running Constantgale, still running Force of Will. That's pretty much been staple, has not changed much. But yeah, Strike Twice and Tempest Collar in the mix, now having full ascendancy. And then you'll see over here, I switched off again. I'm able to sacrifice some of my shield. I still am comfy with this 1-to-1 ratio at where I'm currently at. So I gave up some of this. This was what I had before, and I picked up more damage over here, came in over here, and then was able to pick up this 18% lightning damage with more increased shock, and that going, with the Strike Twice, because there's less duration. So being able to keep that shock uptime essentially at 100%. And obviously the 18% lightning damage. I took this node off just to look and see how much it scales, and it scales pretty good. Like 18% lightning damage. I mean, it's a healthy amount of straight damage, just that node itself. So again, for me, I came over here, picked this up instead of this, gave up some of my shield in favor of more damage. Still running this, still got this. That increased int, mana regen, energy shield. Those are 3 very important things that I value. For me, I could technically, because it's only 18% energy shield, I could get rid of this if I really wanted, and again, get more damage. But for me, I have so much damage already, and it just, again, my regen, I'd like to have a little bit more, especially because you'll see I did get rid of Blossom, but that's just because me as a player, I'm managing my mana myself more than just spamming, if that makes sense. Because I'm at that point where, it feels good to me. But for now, keeping this, eventually might drop this for more damage. Again, we'll see where we're at with things. That being said, I'm going to probably make a new planner. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to make a new planner specifically for this one. And that one is going to be updated like So I know some of you guys are like, have been like, oh yeah, the guide is different from the video. Well, the reason for that is because if I make changes that I feel are worth updating in the guide, I want to update that for you guys, because you know, some people are seeing the video on YouTube days later, and I'm making big improvements literally daily. So I want to keep you guys up to date with that. This is just to the point where the guide is so outdated now, like the one on YouTube. Like I said, we went from 50K to we're over 100K with Icebreaker, with our 100% beer. Like the build is just at a level of what I dreamed of. And honestly, we still got way more. It's crazy to say it, but it's true. The build has way more in it yet. Like I said, I don't have Ingenuity. I don't even have a legendary jewel. I don't have Dream Frame. I don't, bro. It doesn't even matter, right? Not that it, like not that I don't want it, but like I don't need it, you know. But that being said, trust me, like Ingenuity belt especially, because not only will that pump up my damage, it's gonna pump up my rarity, help me get to that 200% rarity, which is another breakpoint I'm trying to reach. But yeah, like I said, so don't be alarmed if you're watching this on YouTube and it's a little bit different. If I'm making changes, I feel they are worth updating, and you can either try to, you know, if you're watching on YouTube and want to do what you're seeing right now, pause it, follow this one. If you want to see what I updated and try that, do what I changed in the actual guide itself, if that makes sense. But yeah, so this is kind of the same. I do have to pick up the decks in order for my support gems coming up through here. This is very similar. You can see the green. Again, the green, that means my second weapon swap, which is my staff / curse or blink. And in my other video, I talked about the blink side of it. If you guys didn't hear about that, I guess I didn't even touch on that when we were going through the skills. I do have blink, and that's, if you look here, it's assigned to my staff, right? My Archmage is assigned to my you know, my DPS, my main set, and conductivity. So conductivity is weapon set 2, right? And blink is weapon set 2. Everything else is weapon set 1. And the way the game works is, you know, if you're casting Spark, which is assigned to weapon set 1, it'll automatically use that. If I cast conductivity, it swaps automatically to my staff. Well, with blink, sorry, I just want to point this out in case you didn't know about or weren't aware of this. So with blink assigned to the staff, I can, you know, even if I have my wand out, right, I'm running and gunning and I want to do a blink, whether that's, you know, strategically or just add a little bit more mobility, all I have to do is whatever my keybind is for conductivity, I hit that, and immediately after I press spacebar or whatever your dodge roll is, and it won't even actually it won't even cast conductivity, but it'll blink, right? So you go like that, see that? It changed to my staff and it blinked because I cancel animation, or animation canceled it, so it didn't actually cast conductivity, but it casted my blink, right? So you just got to kind of get used to the timing on that. But yeah, it's just an extra little min-max thing. Just want to point that out since we're on the topic of the, you know, why I have weapon set 1 and 2. A, the blink. B, the power sigil, which is this, right? That's just, again, for bossing. The only time I use this is either if I'm setting up for a boss or if I have like an event, right? Like if you have a ritual, right? You can kind of just throw your orb out, throw your sigil down, pump up a couple sparks to get it going, and then open up the ritual, and everything will just die. So again, there's many reasons. Highly recommend getting a power sigil staff, because again, not only is it a damage boost, help make your life easier for like events, you get a little bit of mobility with blink if you want to, but also you make your conductivity curses significantly stronger, right? So this is just overflow. Like I had extra points, I might as well get more energy shield, again, more survivability, because I already have all my curses capped, right? So the green lines you'll see are the weapon set 2, which is again staff related, conductivity related, right? So I'm picking up all the curse nodes with that, right? All the green, picking up all these curse nodes, right? Orange, if you saw down here, whoop, orange is weapon set 1. That's why, like lightning damage and stuff like that, you see this is orange. That's why, right? Over here, this crit damage, orange. Up here, lightning, orange. And I'm just doing enough of the lightning stuff to give myself enough to be able to funnel for the weapon set 2. That's all the goal is there, if that makes sense. So you'll see this too. I could technically get rid of this if I really wanted to, just no reason to. Honestly, I don't know if I get rid of this. Probably this, because you get more, I would get more points if I was to give one or the other, because I do like keeping my jewels. But yeah, the over here is very similar. You'll see I did give up this. I believe I had this in the last one, maybe. And I'll show you why I gave this up over here. It's in favor of on the other side of the new stuff we picked up. But otherwise, it's essentially the same. I could technically, I guess I haven't tried this yet to swap the crit damage, because this is 4 points. I could do that and get more cast speed and pick that up. And honestly, that might be a little bit more. I honestly haven't even changed. I haven't even tried it yet because I ran out of gold, literally. So, but things like that, I will keep doing and trying and testing. And like I said, if I end up getting rid of this in favor of up here and it's better, guess what? I'm going to update that in the guide for you guys. And that's another reason, like I said, if I make a change in the guide, it's not direct to what you're seeing here. That's why. Because it's just very time consuming, it's very tedious, and honestly it still takes a lot of gold, at least how much I'm doing it. I had like 2 mil gold and I'm down to 60k or whatever, and that's literally through doing this, and just trying different things and trying to min-max the best I can. That being said, so again, a lot of this stuff over here is going to be very similar. This is a little different, right? Up through the middle is a little different because I did get rid of Blossom. I did for now get rid of this. I was picking this up, but that's again because the right side is stronger, and I did test that, at least for now. But yeah, so jewels, a lot of people ask me, what do I get in jewels? What do I get in jewels? Well, so for this is just not even that good. Like 5% spell damage is not ideal, but everything else, it's at the end of the day, it's a jewel that gives me 4 important things. It gives me spell damage, it gives me energy shield, it gives me crit chance, and it gives me cast speed, right? Those are 4 usable stats, the best I could get or afford at the time. That's what I went with, right? Obviously, if I could have 15% spell damage, that'd be amazing. But at the end of the day, as long as the stats are working and they're very valuable stats, at least in my opinion, that's what I'm looking for. So you look in this one, I got, again, max energy shield, crit bonus, crit damage bonus, right? This one had crit chance. This one has crit damage, right? Just whatever I could get. Cast speed and elemental damage. And you'll see there are different damage sources, right? You have spell damage, you have elemental damage, you have lightning damage, you have different damage, you have projectile damage. All of those damage modifiers work with Spark. So you have a lot of options when it comes to your jewels. But at the end of the day, you kind of want, like I said, and honestly, in my blue gems, if I could add at least 1 skill effect duration, I'm going to try to, I will. Because you'll see in my green gems, I got projectile speed. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find or afford a blue gem that has skill effect duration on it as well. But that is something I would highly, at least one of, if it's a good, like a high, 15%, 10-15% skill effect duration, and at least 1 jewel, I would absolutely throw in if I could. But you'll see here again, crit chance, cast speed, elemental damage, energy shield. You can kind of see all my jewels are very, very similar, just with one's like crit hit chance, one's crit hit damage. They all got cast speed, they all got some kind of damage source, they all got max energy shield. And then for the green gems, you'll see I have pierce, elemental damage, projectile damage, right? The amount mana leech, like that was, honestly, I slammed this, and I got unlucky because that doesn't actually help me. But it gives me my pierce, which helps me get my 100% pierce, which I value. Like that's the most important thing in the green jewels. And then, the 13 and 9, that's combined, 22% more damage. So it's still worth using, even though there's technically a dead stat. I think this is the only jewel that I have a dead stat left in. But again, the other ones and jewels are very expensive right now. You'll see this one has projectile speed, which is, again, projectile speed and effect duration. Skill effect duration you can get on the blue gems, projectile speed you can get on the green gems. They don't directly correlate to your DPS sheet, but when you're using pierce especially, I highly value it, at least within reason. I wouldn't say like get it over literally everything, but adding it in here and there to supplement where you can, I try to do. So shock chance, again, because I'm running the strike twice, pierce, again, mandatory, and then again, projectile damage because it's just more damage. And then this gem, again, same thing. You'll see projectile speed, pierce, elemental damage, and then the elemental ailment threshold is, I guess I didn't really pick it, but it's just the best I could get. So those 3 green gems in combination with, you'll see down here, I have piercing shot. You see how it's like highlighted? That's anointed through my amulet. That's how I'm getting my 100% pierce, which I've been doing since the rip, really, as soon as I could. I know a lot of you, that being said, a lot of you guys, you know, branching bolts. I do think branching bolts is good, but in my opinion, if I have the choice between Pierce and chain, I'm choosing Pierce. Again, personal preference, personal experience. I think chain is very good, especially for mapping, but I don't think like chain doesn't do anything for bossing, right? And my mapping is so crazy already. Again, I'm trying to make the best build overall, whether it's mapping, bossing, whatever. I want to be as strong as I could possibly be, no matter what I'm doing. And I feel like mapping in general is typically easier than bossing, if that makes sense. So for me, I don't need the chain. And you'll see, so the people that are going branching bolts, at least to my knowledge that I've seen, if they're running branching bolts, they're getting rid of Pierce, but then they're anointing Icebreaker. You'll see I have Icebreaker for the same cost as what it costs for branching bolts, right? Branching bolts is a 4-point investment. Well, for me, Icebreaker is a 4-point investment. And again, for me personally, Pierce, I'm going to take that any day over branching bolts. Keep in mind, I'm not a POE god by any means, not even close. I'm newer to the game. I'm learning a lot. I'm stronger and stronger literally daily. And I'm very analytical. I'm all about trying, testing, and just, I love this type of stuff, like figuring out what is best. And at the moment, for me personally, I feel like, again, I just prioritize Pierce over chain. Even that might not be correct. I don't know. But for me, it feels better. You know, it's in my, again, it's just my preference. I'm going to choose the Pierce over the chain. That being said, I do got lightning quick, right? Because I'm coming through this way anyway, to pick all this stuff up. And again, I'm still getting pure power, which I was talking about earlier. Double dipping with your int on every piece, you get mana, plus you can scale this a little bit, which again, at the end of the day, when you're talking almost 400 int, or at least at one point I was, you know, that's it adds up. So yeah, this is pretty much the same in this area, of course, but this is new. Like I said, picking up this because this is all cast speed, and that's where, again, I talked about, I gave this is all cast speed, right? I gave these 4 up basically to pick this section up is why I did that. And then I can't remember what I gave up. Oh, I gave up like Blossom, and I gave up this in order to come down over here and pick up, like I said, see, I got Icebreaker. It's a 4-point investment. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got the Icebreaker. We got the 100% of Pierce. We got the 100k flat DPS. We got over 100% rarity. We got everything that I want. I'm reaching. Again, I could, of course I could scale into one thing more. Like I said, I could get rid of a lot of this stuff and probably get another 50k DPS. Honestly, realistically, I probably could, but at the end of the day, that just doesn't make sense. Because again, overall, I'm trying to build the best character I can to do whatever I'm trying to do and do it comfortably, right? And again, I'm still shooting for how much damage can I possibly get, but while still maintaining what's important to me. Pierce, the Icebreaker is, again, that's just a godsend, really, to be able to even do it. Shout out to Jokey for that, because again, he's the one actually mentioned this, and that's where I was like, ooh, if I go over there, Icebreaker's close, it could be a win-win, right? And it is. It feels super good. I mean, this is, again, I would not change. At the moment, obviously I wouldn't change anything. I just put this together, you know, in the last 24 hours, kind of got it tuned the way I wanted in this sense. But yeah, so like I said, so we're coming down through here to pick up Icebreaker is huge, but then we pick up, you know, a lot of lightning damage over here, 12, 12, 12, 12, and then the 15 max, right? This is a very big part of, I went from 85k essentially to breaking the 100k by doing this. Actually, I went over the 100k, but I was at like 110k, I think, when I picked this up at first, but then I took away, I think it was like this crit stuff, and I think I took away another like damage node somewhere in order to get Icebreaker. So again, I'm sacrificing some DPS. I want to say it was like 9k DPS I sacrificed in order to get Icebreaker, but at the end of the day, it's worth it, especially at a higher level, because realistically, the only time, you know, I think my last like 3 deaths that I can remember have been because of a freeze, right? So for me, giving up that 9k flat DPS, if I can gain Icebreaker for only 4 points, it's a no-brainer, right? And again, I'm still over that 100k, which is just the dream. So hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, a lot of the biggest changes have happened in the passives. I did get a couple different gear changes, of course. Obviously, you know, my gem levels have increased. My, you know, I don't know how many levels higher. But a big part of my new damage, or how, again, just scaling it, catapulting it day after day, is a lot of it's through these passives, but also, again, through gem levels in themselves. So that being said, if you're like level 70, don't be expecting to have 100k DPS. Don't feel bad. I think at level 70, I only had like 5k spark DPS, right? That's another thing. A lot of people are reaching out to me. Oh my God, I only have 5k. Oh, I only have 10k. Okay, what level are you? Oh, I'm like 75. The game, the higher level you get, the more things seem to come together and scale way harder. Not only do you get more passive points, it's just you get more upgrades with your gem levels. You get, you know, and all of that are just huge increments. And that's kind of the way the game plays, and that's kind of how I felt every step of the way, and that's why I like the game as much as I like it, right? Because I literally feel with every single level, even at level 93, right? I'm approaching 94. I'm still gaining, you know, thousands and thousands of damage, tens of thousands, really, right? I went from 85k to them passive changes. I went from 65k leveling up to 93. It took me with the 2 gem upgrades, right? I leveled to 93, got 2 gem upgrades. It took me from 65k to 85k. Now I made these changes in the passives after doing that, and I went from 85k to well over 100k, but then I dialed it back, like I said, in favor of picking up Icebreaker. And like I said, in my rings, I'm sacrificing some DPS that I could be getting, but in favor of rarity, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, for me, I'm maintaining that Pierce while still being able to pick up Icebreaker now, breaking the 100k dream, you know, still having essentially almost 200 crit damage bonus, 129 rarity. I mean, I feel all of the breakpoints I'm trying to reach, I'm able to reach, and it's an amazing feeling. That being said, obviously, again, the rarity I want more of, but that will come. Ingenuity belt is going to be like the icing on the cake, because everything's just going to go, you know, I'm building the foundation. And then once I get that, or a dream fragment, oh my God, it's just, I can't even imagine. But anyways, I think that's everything, right? I'm sorry if I've talked for quite a while, but again, I just want to express, I'm trying to help you guys, honestly, the best I can. And just trying to, none of this is scripted. This is all off the top of my head, trying to be as helpful as I possibly can be for you guys to not only see what I'm doing, but understand it so that you can apply it to yourself. And hopefully make your character a lot stronger as well. But yeah, so that's, like I said, we went over gear. I talked about the best I could. Skills, support gems, passives, which was massive changes. Yeah, if I'm forgetting something, just ask me, whether it's in the comment. If you're watching on YouTube, ask in the comments. I'll try to answer. Or come to my Twitch channel when I'm live all the time, twitch.tv/Merkadis. Come kick it, hang out. If you have any other suggestions too, I'm all ears. I'm just, we're just having a good time. So, but yeah, like I said, hopefully that helps y'all. Much love. And I'm sure, like I said, the next update will be even crazier, right? Maybe we'll have Ingenuity belt by then. But yeah, like I said, good luck with it. Much love. And I will see you guys again real soon.